Joon-woo! The woman's scream tore through Incheon Airport's Terminal 2 like a knife. Travelers turned, phones raised, filming. Security guards converged on the scene. But the man she was screaming for, tall, expensive suit, face wet with tears, didn't move. He stood frozen behind a marble pillar, watching as two immigration officers dragged a pregnant black woman toward the international gates. "Please, Joon-woo, please!" Her voice cracked, raw, desperate, the kind of sound that makes strangers' hearts break. The man took one step forward, then stopped. The woman saw it. That moment, that choice, her face transformed, devastation melting into something colder, harder. "I'll never forgive you," she whispered. But somehow he heard it across the chaos. Then she was gone. The man collapsed against the pillar, sliding down until he sat on the floor, expensive suit crumpling, and sobbed like the world had ended. Because for him, it had. But this story? It didn't start at that airport. It started with jollof rice and a really bad joke. Bimbo John had exactly 3 goals when she landed in Seoul. Don't embarrass Nigeria, don't get fired, and definitely don't fall in love with a Korean man who looked like he'd been photoshopped into existence. 2 out of 3 wasn't bad. She'd spent the entire 14-hour flight from Lagos practicing her Korean phrases, reviewing the Kang Corporation contract, and ignoring her mother's voice in her head saying this was a mistake. Her mother thought Seoul was too far, too cold, too different. But Bimbo was 27, and brilliant, and tired of playing small. When Kang Corporation offered her a 6-month contract as lead developer for their new security platform, she'd said yes before they finished the sentence. Now, standing in the lobby of Kang Tower, 63 floors of glass and steel and old money, she wondered if her mother had been right. "Miss John?" A young woman approached, designer glasses, perfect posture, expression polite but distant. "I'm Park Minji from HR. Welcome to Kang Corporation." "Thank you. Please, call me Bimbo." Minji's smile tightened almost imperceptibly. Bimbo had seen that look before. The slight confusion, the quick mental calculation, the decision to just not address it. She was used to it. "The executive team is waiting. This way, please." The elevator ride to the 47th floor was silent except for soft classical music. Minji checked her phone. Bimbo checked her reflection, smoothing her braids, adjusting her blazer. Professional, capable, ready. The doors opened onto a corridor that screamed money. Original artwork, marble floors, the kind of quiet that only exists when everyone's terrified of making noise. Minji led her to a conference room where 5 men in identical dark suits sat around a table that probably cost more than Bimbo's childhood home. "Gentlemen, this is Miss Bimbo John, our new security architect." 4 of them stood politely. The 5th, youngest, sitting at the head of the table, didn't. He was scrolling through his phone, jaw tight, clearly annoyed about something. "Miss John brings extensive experience in cybersecurity and cloud architecture," Minji continued, setting down Bimbo's portfolio. "She's worked with several Fortune 500 companies and has an impressive track record of—" "Can she actually code or just talk about it?" The youngest man finally looked up. Bimbo's first thought was that he was objectively beautiful, sharp cheekbones, dark eyes, that particular kind of Korean handsomeness that made her friends back home lose their minds over K-dramas. Her second thought was that he was an asshole. "Excuse me?" Bimbo said, voice level. "It's a simple question. We've had consultants before who were great at presentations, terrible at actual work." He leaned back, arms crossed. "So, can you code?" The other executives looked uncomfortable. One cleared his throat. "Vice President Kang, perhaps?" "I can code," Bimbo interrupted, meeting his eyes. "Can you?" Silence. Someone coughed. Vice President Kang's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Amusement, Anger? Both? Actually, yes. I built the original framework for our security system. I'm quite proficient. Then you'll understand when I say your framework has at least 7 critical vulnerabilities that I spotted in the 30 minutes I spent reviewing it last night. Now she had his attention. 7? 7. Would you like me to list them, or should I just fix them? For 3 long seconds, Kang Joon-woo stared at her. Then he did something unexpected. He smiled. Not a polite smile, a real one. Sharp, interesting, and maybe slightly dangerous. List them. Let's see if you know what you're talking about. Bimbo pulled out her laptop. For the next 45 minutes, she dismantled his security system piece by piece, explaining every weakness, every potential exploit, every place where his quite proficient code left them vulnerable to attacks. She used his own conference room screen, drawing diagrams, pulling up code samples, demonstrating exactly how a competent hacker could breach their system in under 10 minutes. The other executives looked increasingly worried. Joon-woo looked increasingly impressed. When she finished, he stood up, walked to the screen and studied her work. "You're right," he said finally. "About all of it. I know. That's embarrassing for me." "It should be." Another silence. Then he laughed, sharp and sudden. "I like you. You're hired." "I was already hired." "Then you're hired harder. Gentlemen, Miss John will lead the security overhaul. Full access to all systems. Whatever she needs, she gets." He turned to her. "Start tomorrow. Don't embarrass me again." "I'll try," Bimbo said, "but I make no promises." He was still smiling when she left. Minji caught up with her at the elevators. "That was incredible. Nobody talks to VP Kang like that." "Maybe they should." "He could have fired you." "For being right?" Bimbo shook her head. "If he's that fragile, I don't want to work here anyway." But as the elevator descended, she caught herself smiling. Maybe Korea wouldn't be so bad after all. The second time they met, she spilled coffee on his Armani suit. It wasn't her fault. She'd been balancing her laptop, her portfolio, and a cup of terrible break room coffee, while trying to read an email and navigate the elevator at the same time. The doors opened, she stepped forward, and walked directly into a wall of expensive fabric and even more expensive cologne. Coffee went everywhere. "Oh my God, I'm so—" She looked up. "Oh, you." Joon-woo looked down at his ruined suit, then at her, expression unreadable. "This is a $12,000 suit. Then you should be more careful where you stand." Wrong thing to say. She knew it immediately. But she was tired and overwhelmed, and honestly, he was standing right in the middle of the elevator entrance like he owned the place, which, technically, his family did. "I'm sorry," she added quickly. "That was rude. I'll pay for the cleaning." "On your salary? That might take a while." "Wow. Okay." She stepped past him into the elevator. "I'll just add classist to your list of qualities." "What list?" "The list I'm keeping. So far it says arrogant and stands in doorways." The elevator doors started closing. He stuck his hand out, stopping them, and stepped inside with her. "What else is on this list?" "We just met yesterday. Give me time." "Fair enough." He pressed the button for the 47th floor. "For what it's worth, you're on a list too." "Oh, really? Let me guess. Clumsy and disrespectful to superiors. Brilliant and doesn't take anyone's shit." He glanced at her. "Also, terrible at multitasking." "I'm excellent at multitasking." "You just walked into me while holding coffee." "That's not multitasking. That's just not watching where I'm going." "What's the difference?" "One implies failure at multiple tasks. The other implies focus on the wrong task." He actually laughed. A real laugh, not the corporate chuckle from yesterday. "You're very precise about your mistakes." "I'm precise about everything. That's why you hired me. The elevator reached her floor, 32nd, where the development team worked. She stepped toward the doors. Miss John? She turned. Welcome to Kang Corporation. Try not to destroy any more of my clothes. Try not to stand in doorways. The doors closed on his smile. Minji was waiting at her desk, eyes wide. Were you flirting with VP Kang? I was establishing boundaries. That looked like flirting. Then you need your eyes checked. But for the rest of the day, Bimbo caught herself smiling at her computer screen for no reason at all. 3 weeks later, she was ready to kill him. This is the 3rd time you've rejected my security protocol, Bimbo said, dropping a stack of papers on Joon-woo's desk with more force than strictly necessary. 3 times. I've revised, adjusted, and compromised. What exactly is the problem? It was past midnight. The office was empty, except for them, a pattern that had developed over the past weeks. Joon-woo worked late. Bimbo worked late. They kept running into each other in the break room, the server room, the parking garage, started having conversations. Arguments, really, about code, about security philosophy, about the correct way to structure databases and whether pineapple belonged on pizza. Now they were arguing about her protocols again. Joon-woo leaned back in his chair, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up. He looked tired. Actually tired, not just I've been working hard tired. The kind of tiredness that lives in someone's bones. The problem, he said carefully, is that your system is too good. Too good. Too secure. Too many checks. It'll slow everything down, make users jump through hoops, create friction. That's literally the point of security. The point of security is to protect data while maintaining usability. Your system is a fortress, beautiful, impenetrable, and completely impractical. Bimbo grabbed the papers, flipped to page 7, stabbed her finger at a diagram. Every hoop you're complaining about prevents a specific type of attack. Remove them and we're vulnerable. Keep them and we're safe. It's that simple. Nothing is that simple. In my world it is. Secure or not secure. There's no middle ground. In my world there's context, nuance, trade-offs. He stood up, came around the desk. They were close now, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something expensive and subtle. We need security, yes, but we also need efficiency, user experience, market competitiveness. You need to not get hacked. I need both. They stared at each other. The office was so quiet she could hear the hum of the server room down the hall, the distant ding of an elevator. You're impossible, she said finally. You're stubborn. I'm right. So am I. We can't both be right. Why not? Because that's not how right and wrong works. He smiled then, that sharp, dangerous smile she was starting to recognize. Maybe in Nigeria, in Korea we have a saying, the bamboo that bends survives the storm. In Nigeria we have a saying, too, a coconut that stands firm feeds the village. I don't think that's a real saying. It is now. His smile widened. You're exhausting. You're infuriating. Want to get food? The question caught her off guard. What? Food. It's after midnight, we're both hungry, and we've been arguing for 2 hours. There's a pojangmatcha near here. Street food. My treat. She should say no. This was crossing a line from professional to something else. But she was hungry and tired, and maybe, possibly starting to enjoy these arguments more than she should. Fine, but I'm paying for my own food. Stubborn. Coconut. That doesn't even make sense. Neither do you. They were still arguing when they left the building, and somehow that felt exactly right. The pojangmatcha was tiny, a tent with plastic stools and a woman cooking over a portable grill. The smell hit Bimbo immediately. Garlic, gochugaru, something fermenting. Her stomach growled. Joon-woo ordered in rapid Korean. The woman nodded, smiling, and started cooking. "What did you order?" Bimbo asked. "You'll see. I don't like surprises." "I've noticed." Within minutes, the woman set down plates of tteokbokki, fried chicken, and something Bimbo didn't recognize but smelled incredible. "Try this first." Joon-woo pushed the mystery dish toward her. "It's Sunday, Korean blood sausage." "You're trying to scare me." "Is it working?" She picked up her chopsticks, took a bite. Rich, savory, complex, delicious. "It's good." "You sound surprised." "I am. Most things you recommend are terrible." "Name one thing." "Your security framework." "Harsh." "Accurate." They ate in comfortable silence for a while. Around them, Seoul hummed with late-night energy. Couples walking past, delivery bikes zipping by, distant music from a noregang. "Can I ask you something?" Joon-woo said eventually. "Is this going to be offensive?" "Probably." "Then no." "Why did you come to Korea? You could work anywhere. Silicon Valley, London, Lagos. Why here?" Bimbo considered not answering. But something about the late hour, the good food, the way he was looking at her like he actually cared about the answer. "Because I wanted to prove I could," she said finally. "Everyone back home said it was too hard, too different, that I wouldn't fit in. My mother cried when I left, said I was running away." She poked at her tteokbokki. "Maybe I was, but I'm also building something. My own reputation, my own path. In a place where nobody knows me, nobody has expectations. I can just be excellent." "Are you? Excellent?" "You tell me. You're the one who keeps rejecting my work." "I reject it because it's too good. That's different than not being excellent." He picked up his soju, took a sip. "You scare me a little, actually." "Good." "Why good?" "Because you should be scared. I'm about to revolutionize your entire security infrastructure, make your company millions, and probably make you look bad in the process." "Confident." "Accurate." He laughed, shaking his head. "You know what my mother would say about you?" "I can imagine." "She'd say you're too bold, too direct, that you don't understand how things work here." "She sounds delightful." "She's terrifying, runs half the chaebol networks in Seoul. Nothing happens without her approval." His expression darkened slightly. "Including my life." There was weight behind those words. Bimbo recognized it, the particular kind of pressure that comes from family expectations, legacy, duty. "That must be exhausting," she said quietly. "You have no idea." "Actually, I do. My father wanted me to be a doctor. His father was a doctor. His father's father was a doctor. When I told him I wanted to code, he didn't speak to me for 6 months." "But you did it anyway." "But I did it anyway." She met his eyes. "Sometimes disappointing people is the price of becoming yourself." Something shifted in his expression, softened. "I've never heard it put that way." "It's a Nigerian saying." "No, it's not." "It is now." They smiled at each other, and for just a moment, the world felt smaller, simpler. Just two people, eating street food, understanding each other in a way that had nothing to do with code or corporations. Then Joon-woo's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and that softness vanished, replaced by something cold and distant. "I have to go. Early meeting. It's 1 a.m. I'm aware." He stood, pulled out his wallet, left money on the table despite her protests. "I'll approve your security protocol, version 3. It's a good compromise." "Joon-woo." "Good night, Miss John." He walked away quickly, phone already at his ear, speaking in rapid formal Korean. Bimbo watched him go, wondering what she'd just seen in his face. It looked like fear. The next 6 weeks were a blur of code, late nights, and increasingly complicated feelings. They fell into a rhythm. Days were professional meetings, emails, carefully maintained distance. But at nights? Nights were different. They'd find each other in the empty office, order food, argue about implementation details that didn't matter, and talk about everything else. His childhood in a house with more rooms than warmth. Her grandmother's stories about Nigeria before the oil boom. His love of classical music and terrible action movies. Her dream of building a tech hub in Lagos someday. They never touched. Never crossed that invisible line. Until the night of the company gala. Bimbo almost didn't go. Office parties weren't her thing, especially ones where she'd be the only black person in a room full of Korea's elite. But Minji had convinced her, loaned her a dress, and promised it would be fun. It wasn't fun. It was overwhelming. The ballroom at the Grand Hyatt was all crystal and champagne, and people who'd never heard the word no. Bimbo stood near a window, nursing a glass of wine, wondering how soon she could leave without being rude. "You look miserable." She turned. Joon-woo stood there in a tuxedo that probably cost more than her monthly rent, holding 2 champagne flutes. "I'm fine." "You're a terrible liar." He handed her a glass. "It's just sparkling water. Figured you'd want to stay sharp." "How thoughtful. Planning to test my code at a party?" "Planning to keep you company, if you'll allow it." He was smiling at her like she was the only person in the room. And honestly, she was tired of pretending she didn't feel it, too. "One dance," she said. "Then I'm leaving." "Deal." The band was playing something slow and jazzy. Joon-woo led her to the dance floor, one hand finding her waist, the other taking hers. They moved together easily, naturally, like they'd done this 1,000 times. "You're a good dancer," she said. 12 years of lessons. My mother insisted." "Of course she did." "What about you? Where'd you learn?" "My cousin's wedding. Lots of wine and Afrobeats." "Sounds better than 12 years of lessons." It was. They moved in silence for a moment. Around them, other couples swayed. Conversation hummed, but Bimbo felt like they were in a bubble, separate from everything. "Can I tell you something?" Joon-woo said quietly. "Depends what it is. These past weeks working with you, they've been the best part of my day, every day." Her heart kicked. "Joon-woo, I know we shouldn't. I know there are rules, complications. My family would—" He stopped, jaw tight. "But I can't keep pretending I don't feel this. Whatever this is." Bimbo's mind raced. This was exactly what she'd been trying to avoid. Getting involved with a chaebol heir was a bad idea on every level. Different worlds, different expectations. His mother alone would probably stand against it. But when she looked at him, really looked at him, she saw someone trapped, reaching for something real. "I feel it too," she whispered. His eyes closed briefly, like she'd given him absolution. "What do we do about it?" "I have no idea." "We could pretend this conversation never happened." "We could. Go back to being professional." "Exactly." Neither of them moved. Then Joon-woo leaned down, slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His lips brushed hers, soft and questioning. She answered by kissing him back, rising on her toes, one hand finding the back of his neck. The world disappeared. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. "We're making a mistake," he said. "Probably." "My mother will lose her mind." "Definitely." "I don't care." "You should." No." He pulled back, looking at her with an intensity that made her chest ache. "But I don't. Is that insane?" "Completely." "Good. Let's be insane together." They left the gala separately, met in the parking garage, and drove to his apartment in Gangnam. Later, Bimbo would remember that night in fragments, his hands in her hair, her name on his lips, the way he looked at her like she was the answer to a question he'd been asking his whole life. They didn't sleep, just talked, touched, and existed in a bubble where consequences didn't matter. But consequences always matter. By sunrise, they'd made rules. Keep it secret. No public appearances. Tell no one at work. It was the only way to protect what they had from his family, from corporate politics, from a world that would try to destroy them. For 3 months, it worked. They were careful, brilliant at deception. He'd leave work at 7, she'd leave at 8. They'd meet at her apartment in Itaewon, where foreigners were common and nobody asked questions. They'd cook together. She taught him to make jollof rice. He taught her to make kimchi jjigae. They'd watch terrible movies and argue about everything and fall asleep tangled together. It was the happiest Bimbo had ever been, and the most terrified. Because every time they went out, she felt eyes on them. Every time Joon-woo's phone rang with his mother's number, she felt him tense. Every time someone at work looked at her too long, she wondered if they knew. Minji suspected. Started asking pointed questions about why Bimbo was always smiling, whether she was seeing anyone. Bimbo deflected, changed the subject, lied through her teeth. The first lie of many. Then came the morning she threw up in the office bathroom. At first, she blamed it on bad street food, then stress, then a stomach bug going around. But when it happened 3 days in a row, Minji cornered her. "Bimbo, when was your last period?" What? Why would you? Just answer." Bimbo counted back. 6 weeks, no, 7, 8? Oh God. Minji's expression softened. "We need to get you a test." They went to a pharmacy in Hongdae, far from the office, where nobody knew them. Bimbo bought 3 different tests, took them all in the bathroom of a coffee shop. All positive. She stared at those 2 lines, feeling the world tilt sideways. "What are you going to do?" Minji asked gently. "I don't know." Is someone... I can't talk about this right now." She went back to work in a daze, sat at her desk, staring at code that suddenly seemed meaningless. A baby. She was going to have a baby, at 27, in a foreign country, with a man whose family would rather see her dead than carrying their grandchild. Her phone buzzed. Joon-woo, working late again, come over? She typed. "We need to talk." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. His reply. That sounds ominous. It is, she thought. But she just wrote, 8 o'clock, your place. She spent the intervening hours planning what to say, how to say it, imagining his reaction. Would he be happy? Terrified? Angry? Would he ask her to end it? The thought made her nauseous again. When she arrived at his apartment, he was cooking. The smell of garlic and ginger filled the space, warm, domestic, and completely wrong for what she was about to tell him. "Hey." He kissed her, smiling. "I'm making bibimbap, your favorite." "Joon-woo, Her voice cracked. His smile vanished. "What's wrong?" "I'm pregnant." Silence. Complete, absolute silence. He set down the spoon carefully, turned off the stove, and turned to face her. His expression was unreadable. "Pregnant?" "Yes." "You're sure?" 3 tests, sure." More silence. He walked to the window, stared out at the Seoul skyline. She watched his shoulders, trying to read him, failing. "Say something," she whispered. "I'm trying to think." "That's not reassuring." "I know." He turned back, and she saw it then. Not anger or fear, but something else entirely. Wonder. "A baby. We're going to have a baby." "We are." "That's..." He crossed to her in 3 quick strides, pulled her into his arms. "That's incredible. Terrifying and impossible and incredible." Relief flooded through her. You're not angry? Angry? Bimbo, I love you. I've loved you for months. Yes, this is complicated, and the timing is terrible, and my mother will probably try to have me assassinated, but... He pulled back, cupped her face. We'll figure it out. Together. How? I don't know yet, but we will, I promise. He kissed her, slow and deep and full of promises he believed he could keep. Bimbo kissed him back, wanting desperately to believe too, but somewhere in the back of her mind, a small voice whispered, "Promises are easy. Keeping them is hard." She should have listened to that voice. 2 weeks later, everything fell apart. It started with a phone call, Joon-woo's mother. He took it in the other room, voice low and tense, came back pale. She knows. Knows what? About us. Someone told her. She wants to see me, tonight. Then I'll come with you. No, absolutely not. Joon-woo. Bimbo, you don't understand. My mother, she's dangerous, strategic. If you're there, she'll use it against us. Let me handle this. Red flag. She recognized it immediately, but he looked so scared, so desperate, that she agreed. Okay, but call me as soon as you're done. I will, I promise. He left. She waited. He didn't call. By midnight, she was panicking, sent a dozen texts, no response. Called, straight to voicemail. At 2 a.m, someone knocked on her door. Not Joon-woo, a woman in an expensive coat, assistant type, expression professionally blank. Miss John, Mrs. Kang requests your presence. Tomorrow, 10 o'clock, at this address. She handed over a card. Please don't be late. What is this about? Mrs. Kang will explain. The woman bowed slightly and left. Bimbo stared at the card. Heavy stock, embossed lettering. An address in Gangnam, probably some restaurant where Madame Kang could destroy her over tea and pastries. She didn't sleep that night. The next morning she dressed carefully. Professional. Dignified. Like she was going into battle. Which, essentially, she was. The restaurant was exactly as she'd imagined. Exclusive, quiet, the kind of place where conversations were deadly and everyone spoke in whispers. Madame Kang sat at a corner table, back straight, expression carved from ice. She didn't stand when Bimbo approached. Miss John, sit. Not a request, a command. Bimbo sat. For a long moment, Madame Kang just looked at her, evaluating, judging, finding her wanting. My son tells me you're pregnant. Straight to it, then. Yes. And you believe the child is his? Bimbo's hands clenched under the table. I know it is. How convenient. Excuse me? A foreign woman, working at my family's company, suddenly pregnant by the heir. It's quite the coincidence. It's not a coincidence, it's a relationship. We've been together for months. A relationship. Madame Kang's lips curved slightly. Not a smile. Is that what you call it? How charming. She opened her purse, pulled out an envelope, set it on the table. 500 million won, approximately 400,000 US, more money than you'll make in 10 years. She pushed it forward. Take it. Leave Korea. End the pregnancy. Sign an NDA. Never contact my son again. Bimbo stared at the envelope like it was a snake. I don't want your money. Everyone wants money. Not everyone. Some of us have principles. Principles. Madame Kang actually laughed, sharp and cold. How noble. Let me tell you about principles, Miss John. My family has spent 3 generations building an empire. Connections, reputation, legacy. Do you know what that child in your womb represents to us? A scandal, a stain, mixed blood diluting a pure line. That's disgusting. That's reality. You think because my son whispers sweet words in the dark that you belong in our world? You don't. You never will. You're exotic, different, that's exciting for a while. But when the novelty wears off, when he realizes what he's sacrificed for you, he'll resent you, hate you, and that child will suffer for your selfishness. Joon-woo loves me. Joon-woo loves the idea of rebellion. You're not a person to him. You're an act of defiance. She leaned forward. Take the money. Go home with your dignity intact, or stay and watch me destroy you piece by piece. You can't. I can do anything. I own half of Seoul. I make calls, and people disappear. Careers end. Visas get revoked. Do you really want to test me? Bimbo stood up, shaking. Joon-woo won't let you do this. Won't he? Let's see. She pulled out her phone, made a call. Send him in. The restaurant door opened. Joon-woo walked in, looking exhausted and defeated and small in a way she'd never seen. Tell her, Madam Kang said. Tell her what we discussed last night. Joon-woo looked at Bimbo. I'm sorry. What does that mean? My mother, she's right. About everything. I can't protect you from her. I can't protect myself. If I choose you, I lose everything. My position, my inheritance, my family. So you're choosing them. I'm trying to choose both. There is no both, Joon-woo. There's me and our baby, or there's them. Which is it? Silence. That's when she knew. I see. Her voice was remarkably steady. Thank you for making this clear. She turned to leave. Madam Kang called after her. The offer stands for 24 hours, Miss John. After that, things get difficult. Bimbo walked out without responding, head high, tears waiting until she was in the elevator to fall. Things got difficult very quickly. The next day, she was called to HR. Her work visa had irregularities. Nothing specific, just irregularities. They'd need to investigate. Meanwhile, she was suspended. Her bank account was frozen. Some issue with international transfers. Very sorry, very inconvenient. Should be sorted out soon. Every lawyer she called suddenly had conflicts of interest. And Joon-woo? He sent texts. I'm fixing this. Trust me. I love you. But he didn't call. Didn't visit. Didn't do anything except hide behind his phone. On the third day, immigration officers came to her apartment. Miss John, your visa has been revoked. What? On what grounds? Contractual violations with your employer. You have 48 hours to leave Korea. This is insane. You can't. We can and we are. You'll be escorted to the airport. Please pack essential items only. It was happening. Actually happening. She was being deported. She called Joon-woo. He answered on the 5th ring. They're deporting me. I know, I just found out. I'm calling lawyers, I'm talking to my mother. Your mother? Joon-woo, your mother is probably the one who arranged this. What do you want me to do? I want you to fight. I want you to choose me. I want... Her voice broke. I want you to mean it when you say you love me. I do mean it. Then prove it. Come to the airport. Stop this, please. Silence. I'll try, he said finally. That's not good enough. It's all I have. She hung up. The 48 hours passed in a nightmare blur. Minji helped her pack, crying, apologizing over and over. Bimbo moved mechanically, feeling nothing, feeling everything. This couldn't be real. Couldn't be happening. But it was. They took her to Incheon Airport at dawn. 2 officers, polite but firm. She walked through the terminal like a ghost, watching families reunite, couples saying goodbye, normal life happening around her while hers ended. At the gate, she stopped, looked around, and saw him, Joon-woo, standing behind a marble pillar, just standing there, looking at her with tears streaming down his face. He'd come. Joon-woo! Hope exploded in her chest. He'd come. That meant something. Everything. She started toward him. He didn't move. Joon-woo, please! Travelers turned, staring. Security moved closer, but she didn't care. He was there. He just needed to take one step, and everything could be different. He took that step. Forward. Then stopped. She watched it happen, watched him choose, watched the moment he decided that his comfort, his inheritance, his family was worth more than her, than their baby, than everything they'd promised each other in the dark. "Please, Joon-woo, please don't let them do this!" The officers grabbed her arms. Professional, efficient, used to dragging people away from their lives. "I love you, doesn't that mean anything?" He opened his mouth. No sound came out. They pulled her toward the gate. She fought them, screaming, desperate. "Say something, fight for us, Joon-woo!" He just stood there, crying, frozen, useless. And in that moment, something inside Bimbo shattered and then hardened into something new, something cold, sharp, and unbreakable. "I'm carrying your child," she said quietly, but somehow he heard. "And I'll never forgive you for this. Never." She stopped fighting. Let them lead her away, walked through that gate with her head high because she'd be damned if she gave him the satisfaction of seeing her completely broken. On the plane, she put a hand on her stomach. "It's okay," she whispered. "We don't need him. We never did." The plane lifted off, carrying her away from Seoul, away from the man who'd promised her everything and given her nothing but heartbreak. But as the city disappeared below the clouds, Bimbo made herself a promise. She would survive this. She would build a life. She would raise this child to be strong, to be brave, to never let anyone make them feel small. And Joon-woo? He could live with his choice, his money, his family's approval. She hoped it kept him warm at night, because she was done. Done hoping, done waiting, done believing in men who couldn't fight for what they claimed to love. If you want to know what happens next, if Bimbo ever forgives him, if he ever meets his child, if love can survive the ultimate betrayal, then you need to subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that like button if this story broke your heart, drop a comment telling me whether Joon-woo deserves a second chance, and turn on notifications so you don't miss part 2. Because trust me, you're not ready for what happens next. Part 2 is coming soon, and it's going to change everything. Thank you for watching.